Making tax digital will be the biggest change to the tax systems in 20 years. This new government legislation will change the way businesses submit their financial data to HMRC. So we've been helping our clients get prepared ahead of time. I asked Joe, our Cloud Development Manager, and Luke, our Zero Operations Manager, to answer our most frequently asked questions.
You will have to keep your bookkeeping up to date quarterly, but it's not the same as quite submitting 4 tax returns a year. The work that's involved will be slightly less, but the information will need to be there, and your records will need to be up to date 4 times a year so that we can make those submissions to HMRC.
Yeah, so HMRC are looking to implement this for VAT registered businesses. As VAT registered businesses, you'll be making VAT submissions quarterly anyway. So hopefully, especially if you're using an accounting package like Xero or any other cloud-based software, it should just be the same admin task as just filing that as a quarterly submission.
It just stops those people that bring their records in at the end of the year, whether it be a wad of paper or a long mundane spreadsheet. It just means that those people can't do that. They have to do it on a more quarterly basis, and it incentivizes people to keep their information up to date and keep on top of their records rather than leaving last minute deadline jobs, and hopefully stops any last minute filing penalties. In short, no. You're still going to have the same income, the same expenses as you always do. It just means that both yourself and HMRC can assess that liability at an earlier point. So rather than knowing at the end of the year that you owed whatever tax it may be, you'll know quarterly each what that liability will be, and it will build up to that final liability that you'll have to pay at the year end.
Yeah, so for example, if you are due to pay £1,000 at the end of the year, you always owe £1,000 at the end of the year. It's just going to be HMRC knowing that they're missing out on £250 every quarter. And obviously they'll kindly offer you the opportunity to pay as you go. But that option is there for you to take. So if you don't want to take that massive hit in one go, you can sort of split it down into sections.
Unfortunately, it's not quite as cut and dry as can I use a spreadsheet or not. HMRC haven't quite released guidelines on whether they can use your specific spreadsheet or you have to use their spreadsheet. So it's sort of tentative as to whether we can or cannot use your spreadsheet. It depends on whether your spreadsheet can link with what will be their finalised system, and we'll have to assess that nearer the time.
Yeah, so what we'll end up having is obviously Microsoft Excel won't have a direct linked file upload to HMRC. What you'll probably find is that HMRC will give out a sort of standard spreadsheet format, as it were, and you have to enter in those figures manually. So a lot of it will come down to sort of how specific your spreadsheet is to your business, and sort of how tailorable you are to change, if that makes sense. If you're happy to take their spreadsheet and use it as your own template, then that should be fine. But we've not really had any confirmation at this moment as to what it's going to be going forward.
Yeah, it's unknown how flexible that spreadsheet will or will not be. Whether you can get profit and loss reports, whether you can get balance sheets. Sometimes it's easier to move earlier onto a cloud package that will enable you to get those figures easily, and you'll know going forward that it will be compatible with Making Tax Digital.
So see, the first concern that we've come across is that HMRC are going to be having more information from most companies that are VAT registered. You'll find that with more information, they're more likely to go digging and potentially open an investigation into your affairs. Quite simply, with more information, they're more likely to pick up on mistakes.
Yeah, it just means that they're able to look at each business in a bit more detail. They're able to assess what changes are made month on month, and most importantly, what information is changed at the year end. This just will make it more prominent that you have to keep those accounting adjustments to the quarters. You need to be paying dividends on a monthly or quarterly basis when appropriate, rather than lumping all changes and adjustments right into the year end. It makes planning more important, meeting with your accountant, making sure they're on top of the figures, making sure that any planning that needs to take place takes place throughout the year, means that the final year-end meeting becomes less important and more regular meetings become more advised.
So despite all of those concerns, obviously there are a few benefits to having making a tax tool. I think as a company needing to submit quarterly submissions to HMRC, you're much more inclined to have much more accurate management figures. Being in control of those management figures is going to put you in a much better position to make financial planning decisions.
It means that come the year end, you've got less form filling. There's a lot less compliance to be done at the year end because majority of it's been done throughout the year. It makes things a lot easier for yourself, and it takes the stress away from that year end process and the ongoing issues. It means you can budget better throughout the year. So knowing what liability is coming, it means you're able to assess that and see where you'll be in 6 months or a year's time, rather than getting that big heavy tax bill at the year end and saying, oh, where are we going to find that money? Where's that money going to come from? You would already know, and you'll already be able to plan in advance if you aren't already doing so.
I think the thing we can take from this is making tax digital is coming. HMRC have announced it. They are pushing it forward, and it is going to be live from April 2019 for all VAT registered businesses.
We do have time to get ready. It's not a huge amount of time at the moment, but we do have time to get ready. And obviously, as A4G can help smooth that process, and we can help transition into making the quarterly bookkeeping easier and ensuring that the records that HMRC get are accurate and right.
Yeah, I think the way you can look at it is that it's going to become part of the norm, very similar to how you submit your VAT return on a quarterly basis. It's just the way it's going to be. You're going to have to submit quarterly accounting records to HMRC within